The views shared on this show are my own and not those of Fam Radio. I am not a pastor or trying to tell you how to live your life. I'm just sharing my journey. Take what resonates, leave the rest, and let's grow together.
From Ohio to Atlanta, mixing music and ministry, this is the London Elixir Show on Fam Radio.
Welcome back, cousins. You are tuned into the London Elixir Show, where faith meets music and creativity turns into opportunity. I'm your host, London Elixir, producer, DJ, sync queen, and your guide to all things music and inspiration. Whether you're listening live or catching the playback, I am so glad you're here. Now, this show was inspired by my own journey navigating the music industry and the lessons I've learned along the way. My goal is to share those gems with you while creating a space where we could grow together, spiritually, musically, and professionally. Before we dive in, let me give a big shout out to today's sponsor, Fam Radio. Thank you so much for supporting this vision and making this show possible. All right, y'all. Today's episode is packed with wisdom, music, and motivation. From acts of faith that remind us how God moves in unexpected ways, to sync licensing stories that will inspire you to keep pushing, and some practical tips to level up in your music career. We've got a little something for everyone, so grab your coffee, tea, or whatever, and let's get into it. Let's dive into today's Faith Works segment, where we talk about putting our faith into action. This week, I want to share a powerful lesson I learned about kindness, obedience, and how God moves when we're willing to be used by Him. First, let's share a sermon snippet from Pastor Luke Hall at New Vision Christian Church in Georgia. Take a listen, and I'll be back afterward to share my thoughts and how we can apply this to our daily lives.
You are the glory of God. I want to use you for my glory. I want to use you. I want you to truly know me so that I can use you for my glory. When people that don't know how good I am and they want to know how good I am, they should be able to look at you.
My God, my God. Help us.
When people come to me and they want food, I want to feed them through you.
Come on, sir. Help us.
When people come to me and they need healing, I want to heal them through you. People come to me and they need a word. I want to send them a word, and I want to send that word through you. This is what I like. Quiet. God is saying, this is not the season for you to just be in church to have church.
Come on, sir. Help us.
God says, I want to bless the people, and I want to bless them through you.
This message was so powerful, especially considering the timing that the message came in. So around this same weekend, my best friend and I had created bingo boards for our 2025 goals. And one of the things that ended up being on both of our boards was to do random acts of kindness for others. And it's amazing how God works, because one day I had 3 back-to-back moments that reminded me of how He multiplies blessings. The first moment happened when I was heading out to breakfast with a group of people. On the way there, God placed it on my heart to pay for a specific person's breakfast in the group. Without hesitation, I said, bet, I'll do that. I got you, God. But before I could even act on it, somebody else in the group surprised us and paid for all of our meals without us even knowing. So I was planning to be a blessing, and God turned right around and blessed me instead. Later that same exact day, I was volunteering with a different group to feed the hungry. There was an issue with the location, so we didn't have anybody to serve directly. The food ended up being taken to a different site where another set of volunteers and people in need were waiting. But here's the twist. They had more than enough food and invited us to take a plate before they left. Once again, I was planning to feed someone else, and God made sure that I got fed. Now, here's where it really hit for me. A couple of days later, I ran into that same woman I had planned to buy breakfast for at a gas station. She told me she was on her way to sit with her mom, who'd been dealing with some health challenges, and was picking up some food to take with her. We chatted for a bit and went our separate ways, but as soon as I got in my car, I felt the spirit nudging me. I was already planning to cook dinner that day, so I called her and I told her I wanted to bring her a plate for dinner. She immediately broke down in tears, and she told me no one ever does things like that for her. People always ask her how her mom is doing, but no one really asks her about her or offers to help her. My simple offer of dinner meant the world to her because it was one less thing she had to figure out that day. And that moment resonated with me deeply because last year my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I went home for 2 weeks to be with her for her surgery and recovery. During that time, only one person checked on me daily, not just to ask how my mom was doing, but to see how I was doing. And that actually meant a lot to me because as somebody who takes on the responsible role in my family, I often feel like I get lost in the shuffle. So here's what I learned from that. It's not enough to just say, let me know if you need anything. Stop putting it on others to tell you what they need. When someone is focused on helping a loved one, they're probably not thinking about themselves. And even if they are, they may not feel comfortable asking for help. Instead, put yourself in their shoes. Think about what you would need if you were in their situation, and then just do it. You never know what prayer you could be the answer to. Now, that's your faith challenge for this week. Think about someone you've recently told, I'll pray for you, or let me know if you need anything. In addition to your prayers, consider what you might need if you were in their situation and take action. If you're not sure what they might need, ask God for wisdom and guidance. James 1:5 reminds us, if any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. Let God use you to be a blessing this week. And that wraps up today's Faith Works segment. If you'd like to hear the full sermon, search for The Year of Divine Jubilee Part 2 by Luke S. Hall on YouTube. I also encourage you to dive into James chapter 1 verses 5 through 8 on your own for deeper insight. All right, let's take a music break.
This is the London Elixir Show.
Welcome back to the London Elixir Show. I'm your host, London Elixir, and it's time for one of my favorite segments. It's called Sync Stories. This is where I share real-life wins, challenges, and behind-the-scenes moments from the world of sync licensing. Whether you're an artist, producer, or just curious about how music ends up on your favorite shows and commercials, this is for you. Let's dive into today's story and get inspired. So for those of you who don't know, I actually have a whole movie out called Sink or Swim, Diving Deeper, and it's about how I get my music on TV shows and how you can too. My team and I created that film over the course of a couple years, and it's really jam-packed with amazing information about sync licensing. And you could watch the film right now on my website. And the reason why I'm sharing that information with you is not just so you could go get all the gems from the movie, but because today I'm going to be sharing with you how I put the team together to create that film and what's important when it comes to selecting your team. So back in 2022, God placed Sink or Swim on my spirit, just the phrase, and spelled like SYNC. Now at the time, I was actually in the studio working on a song to submit for sync licensing opportunities, and I had already had some sync experience, but I had no idea why that phrase was placed on my heart. So I texted my friend Jamal at the time, and you guys met him on the last episode. And I was just like, sink or swim, I'm not sure what I'm gonna use this for, but I feel like it's important, so I wanna write it down. And that's the first takeaway. Like, you have to have people in your circle who are going to believe in your ideas and see your vision with you. You can't share your ideas with everybody because some people will crush your dreams before you even get a chance to manifest them or to really digest what God has downloaded into your spirit. They'll just be like, no, what that mean? Like, I don't think that's important at all. And it's like, dang, man, like, I can't even think about having an idea. So that's the first step, I think, when it comes to choosing a team. You got to get some visionaries on your team, people who are going to encourage you and support you. And the best way to find these people are to find people who have visions for their own lives. Because if they could see themselves going somewhere, they could easily see you going somewhere as well. One of the ways that I try to weed out certain people is like by paying attention to the type of questions they ask when I present them with an idea. So the question should be more around how it's going to happen. Like, what can we do? How can we make this happen? And less about whether or not it's possible. So, for example, if I'm like, okay, I want to put a movie together, it shouldn't be like, man, I don't know, that's going to take X, Y, and Z. I don't know if that's going to be possible. It should be, okay, so it's going to take X, Y, and Z. I know such and such who has X, or maybe this is how we could find Y. Maybe we could research how to find Z. Like, the questions are about making something happen as opposed to whether or not it can happen. Okay, so back to the story. So I texted Jamal that day and I was like, sink or swim, I'm not sure, what it's for, but just writing it down so I don't forget. And he's like, okay, bet. No questions asked. It's all right. So fast forward, and at this time I'm trying to find music events to go to meet more music supervisors so I could, establish relationships that could lead to more sync licensing connections for me. And one of the ones I was planning to go to was the Nashville Film Fest. They were known for having a lot of music supervisors there, and the lady who puts it on was like, you should definitely come. So I'm like, okay, bet. And me just being the overachiever I am was like, well, wait a minute. If I'm going to a film festival, I might as well have a film to submit. And then I realized, oh, Sink or Swim, that's going to be the name of the film. So I immediately hit up Jamal with the idea. And he's like, okay, London, you want to submit a film? And Jamal is so cool. He just lets me go on and on about my ideas. And he's going to be supportive. And he knows me. I'm very intentional, and I'm very impulsive when it comes to executing. Procrastination is not my thing. So the funny thing is the film festival was, the deadline to submit the film, I think was in June or July. And at the time, I think it was March or April when I was coming with this idea. So we would only have 2 months to meet the deadline to submit this film. Mind you, none of us have ever done a film before. So my thing is, when God puts something on my spirit to do, I just start moving. I don't try to figure out all the pieces. I figure out, okay, well, what's step one? I know I need a plan. And I know I need a videographer. I wasn't thinking about editing. I wasn't thinking about post. I was just thinking about the film has to be shot. We have to figure out what we're going to say in this film, and we need to get it on camera. And that's the next takeaway for this story. When God tells you to do something, don't sit there and try to figure out the plan from start to finish before you start moving. God doesn't always give you the steps, and sometimes your pieces are along the path, but you have to start walking to get to those next pieces. So don't wait until you have all the pieces to try to start putting a puzzle together. Just start and allow God to provide the pieces as you go along. And I'm only speaking from experience because that's what he did in this scenario. So knowing that the film title was Sink or Swim, obviously the film was going to be about how I got into sync licensing, which really made it kind of easy to come up with the flow of the film. So after that, I was like, okay, I need to figure out who's going to shoot this thing and who do I know that has a camera. And my homegirl, Maddie B, actually was already filming her own content for her own music videos, doing this series on her YouTube page called Rehearsals. So I called her and was like, hey, I know you do your own, videos. What do you think about shooting a movie? Have you ever shot a movie before? And she was like, no. And I was like, do you want to? That's me, just putting people in position hey, you want to try this out? And the cool thing about that is again, it goes back to working with people who believe in your vision, but also have visions for themselves, because Maddie B just jumped on board okay, sure, let's give it a go. So boom, I got my videographer, let's get started. So we just start filming, and shout out to Stein with Skin and Bones Project Studios. He allowed us to film at his space. That was awesome. He also allowed us to borrow his camera for the filming. So all these pieces are just kind of falling into place. And one of the days that we were filming, we were doing interviews with artists that I've worked with and gotten songs placed with. And Ogechi is an artist that was there for an interview that day. And as she was leaving, she was like, well, this is how she tells the story. She says that she looked around the room and she was like, none of these people are film editors. And I don't know how they're planning on editing this film. So she asked me who's editing the film? And I was like, girl, I don't know. I'm just doing it one step at a time. I know we got the videographer. We gonna figure it out. And she was like, do you know that my degree is in film editing? And I was like, what? You have a degree in film? She was like, yeah, that's what I do. And I'm actually looking for more projects to take on. Y'all, I was like, look at God, just putting pieces together. And had I not started filming I would have never known that she was the editor for the film. So that's what I mean, y'all, by like, you have to start taking your steps and the pieces will fall into place along the path. Like, I would have never known she was a film editor had she not been there doing her interview for the film that I was already shooting. So that's honestly how my team came together to create the Sink or Swim film. At that time, we did the short film and we did get it in by the deadline. So we created and shot edited everything, this entire short film. It was about like 25 minutes long, and got it submitted by the deadline for the film festival. And it did not make it into the film festival. However, we still did our own private screenings for it in Atlanta, and we sold out 2 private screenings for the film. And we took in, like, we did Q&As after the screening, and everybody was like, we want to know more. You know, we feel like it was too short. We wish the movie was longer. And we decided at that moment, like, you know what? Let's go back and do a full feature-length film. We won't be on a deadline. We'll be able to put all this information out, whatever they need, we could fit it in. And we could get this film done in its completion. So that's how we went back and ended up doing Sink or Swim Diving Deeper, which is available to watch on my website now, where we give out all the information on sink licensing. And that's just a good example, y'all, of how I built up my team. For anybody who's trying to attract a team without forcing it, that's just my story of how I was able to do it in this instance. And we work together on a lot of different projects. This is really like my dream team. I love them. And it's more than just like the fact that they are talented individuals in their own rights. I know them like Ogechi is one of the greatest performers I know. You know what I'm saying? Maddie's one of the greatest songwriters I know. And same with Jamal. And like the way that I could bounce my ideas off of Jamal, like we think alike, so it's very logical and it works. So the pieces to the team came together like without forcing it. So that's how you have to kind of go about finding your team. And then other qualities that you might want to look for that I know that my team has, like integrity, like working with people who you know are going to keep their word and be about their business. You know, personality types. Does everybody in a group click? Like, one thing that's cool about our group is we're all alphas. Like, every single one of us, it has an alpha personality, but we also all have equal respect for everyone in the group. So anytime there's a disagreement, we always hear each other out, and we're always open to hearing what the other person has to say about the topic. And then we all just kind of agree to disagree or agree to agree, you know, depending on the situation. Accountability is key. If I, need the film edited by this date and time, can I count on you to get that done? You know what I'm saying? Like, can I count on you to be professional and show up on time the day of the shoot, or, be on time to meetings? Things like this are all, they're all important when it comes to attracting the right team. And honestly, again, it all boils down to how they show up for themselves. That is a good representation of how they're going to show up for the team. So pay attention to those things and don't just take people's word. Watch their actions over time. Are they consistent? Are they reliable? And of course you could give grace. Certain situations in life may require they might, have different availability, but all in all, this is how I selected my team. These are the characteristics that I was looking for. Shout out to my team again, Mogul Ma, Maddie B, Ogechi, love you guys. And for anybody who's trying to find a team, keep those things in mind. And also, as you're looking for these characteristics in your team members, make sure you embody those characteristics for yourself. Because if you want other people to get behind you and believe in you, you have to be showing up and doing the things that you're expecting them to do as well. Nobody on your team should be working harder than you are. This is your baby. This is your vision. So you have to show up in a way that will make them want to continue to show up for you. And I think that's another reason why it was so easy for the pieces to come together with my team, because the people already have an understanding of the type of work ethic I have and the type of person that I am. I had already gotten all of them sync placements. So it was easy for them to come on board for me to do this film. Okay, y'all, so that's going to end our Sync Story segment for today. Let's take a quick music break. We'll be right back.
This is the London Elixir Show.
Welcome back. You are tuned in to the London Elixir Show. I am your host, London Elixir, and it's time for Music Biz Tips. Y'all, this is our first time doing this segment, and in it, I'm going to share practical advice and game-changing insights from my own journey in the music industry. These tips have helped me level up, and I know they could do the same for you. So let's get into it. Today, we're diving into an important topic: do your research. Before you reach out to music supervisors or anybody in the industry, take the time to do your homework. Why? Because doing your research shows that you value their time and it makes you stand out as someone serious and professional. Here's an example. Don't ask questions they've already answered. If someone asks me a question about sync licensing that I've already explained in my Sink or Swim film, that tells me they didn't bother to put in the effort to watch it. The film is only $15 in 1 hour, y'all. If you don't have 1 hour and $15 to invest into learning about sync, and I've spent years doing it and made a way for you to get this information, why should I just respond to your message that's lazy, it's unfair, you don't value my time? If you still have questions after watching the film, that's different. You could book a consultation, but only after you've done your part to show that you actually will invest in yourself to get this information and you respect my time and the effort I've put into making most of it available already. When it comes to music supervisors specifically, researching their previous projects and current work goes a long way. It'll give you an idea of the type of music they usually place. See if they have a website because sometimes they've already set up a submission process there. If you're just DMing them your music without checking first, it shows you didn't take the time to find their process, which means you don't value the time they put into making that process available. And let me tell you about a mistake I made early on, so you're not alone in learning these lessons. One time I submitted rap music to a rock library, y'all. Big mistake. It showed I did not do enough research to see if my music was a good fit. And they emailed me back like, wow, these tunes are really dope, but this is a rock library, so we're not going to accept this. And I just kind of felt like, dang, I should have did my research. So another common mistake I see is people submitting music to me as if I'm a music supervisor. But here's the thing, I'm not a music supervisor. So if you take the time to watch my film or learn more about what I do, then you will figure that out and then you wouldn't feel the need to submit music to me. So put in some work first, y'all. It's not just about avoiding mistakes. It's about showing respect and reflecting how serious and diligent you are about your own craft. Trust me, it goes a long way. That's your music biz tip for today. Do your research and I promise it'll take you far. All right, let's slide right on over into the hidden highlight segment for today. This is where I review songs for sync readiness that you submit. Our first submission for today comes from Busta Beats out of Louisville, Kentucky, and the name of his track is Nobody Else. This is what he had to say about it. I was inspired by Sabrina Carpenter's Espresso song, haha. That's a good song. I kind of feel like I have an idea of what the vibe is going to be based off of that. This is an instrumental submission, y'all. So artists out there looking for producers, pay attention. Like you might want to hit up Busta Beats. Let's get into the track. Again, the name of that beat was Nobody Else, and it was by a producer out of Louisville, Kentucky by the name of Busta Beats. If you would like to follow him on social media, it's at LIL_BUSTA. Again, that's at Lil_Busta. All right, let's get into these sync readiness tips. First impression is that it will work really well for sync. It's easy listening, it's smooth, it's not too distracting. I can see it working well for like background cues. Like people could be talking over this and the beat won't distract them too much. I could also see it working well just to paint a vibe. Like I'll see beaches and just like driving down the street, happiness, like a couple falling in love. Like it just seems like that type of track that would be in the background for those scenes. As far as the arrangement, I think it's nice. I like your sound selection. I think that in order to increase your odds of it being used even more, just give a little more variety. Like those main chords repeated throughout the entire song, which really is not that big of a deal most of the time, especially if you get a writer on who can make the song sound more dynamic, even though the beat is kind of repetitive. I think that if you want to give yourself a higher chance of getting more syncs, just throw a bridge in there or something where you change those chords to be a little more dynamic. Just give us a different feel. Just give the music supervisor something else to like feel like, oh, that was a nice little razzle dazzle in the song. You know what I'm saying? That would be like my main tip. Also, add a sting ending to your track. The track ended abruptly. There was no sting. And in sync licensing, that's very important. If you don't know what that is, make sure you research that on YouTube because it's kind of hard to just talk about. I would have to actually like just play an example. So yeah, all in all, thanks for submitting. Again, that track was called Nobody Else by Busta Beats. And if you are an artist out there, independent artists looking for producers, y'all need to be working with producers for sync. I'm gonna say it one more time. Y'all need to be working directly with producers if you want to get your music synced, because those YouTube beats, y'all, those BeatStars, them Arabic beats, you do not own the rights to those, and you need a producer's permission in order to get any type of syncs. So start working directly with producers. Here's one right here on the show, throwing y'all the alley-oop. Like, take advantage, connect, and get you a producer. And because this is so important in sync, I'm gonna shout out his Instagram one more time for y'all who are getting y'all beats off of YouTube. You cannot get those songs synced. So if you need a producer, here is one who's investing in himself, who's making sync-ready sounding music. His Instagram is at LIL_BUSTA, at Lil_Busta. So make sure y'all check him out. And if you haven't already started working directly with producers on your music, stop playing yourself, get to it. That's the best way to secure a sync, because you know that y'all are both going to approve of it. All right, let's slide into the next submission for today's Hidden Highlights segment. This one comes from Infestor in the United States, and the name of his song is Sticks and Stones. What he has to say about the song is this. This track is a song about defeating worldly human resistance. All right, y'all, let's give it a listen.
I once built my foundation on shaky ground, but nowadays I'm on solid ground. Fighting and fighting because all the ops around. But little do they comprehend, I'll lay them down. Because they don't want this type of wickedness around. And I say this type of wickedness go deeper than the ocean. Watch out, world, I'm about to whip up some of my dead potion. When I say dead potion, bodies rot off and die. Because I'm jumping on when I have to, and that ain't no lie. I try to steer clear of all trouble, but it seems it follows me. But what you don't realize, I'm not a lunatic, that's where I be. We can be friends until I see through you. But if you get out of pocket, then I trip like I never knew you. When I say trip, it ain't packing no bags. I'm gonna plot something on you. You gonna drop real fast. Because I'm dropping fools like hot cakes. Shaking fools like shaking bait. Because this life that I live is realer than fate. Don't test my skills so I won't have to break. I'm as serious as a heart attack. All you bosses fall back. When I blow my top, I get the glizzy in the gap. You'll never catch me slipping. That ain't my style. I call them 7 digits. My comrades go wild. They're all visionaries, just like me. We had love from the get-go in this game, you see. I say them sticks and stones may break my bones, but you bust the tricks and never hurt me. I say them sticks and stones may break my bones, but you bust the ops and never hurt me. I say them sticks and stones may break my bones, but you bust the tricks and never hurt me. I say them sticks and stones may break my bones, but you bust the ops and never hurt me. Why all you haters wanna scheme behind real boss leaders' back? You petrified to step in my face, you're a coward like that. I fear no man but God, that's how it go. I'm ready for warfare, toe to toe, but you don't want none. This game ain't for fun. It just spot 'em, drop 'em, see you, then I'm on the run. I won't be on the run for long, just until I get to my spot. It was calculated so smooth, they knew it was a plot. They said them sticks and stones may break my bones, but you bust the ops and never hurt me. I said them sticks and stones may break my bones, but you bust the ops and never hurt me. I said them sticks and stones may break my bones, but you bust the ops and never hurt me. I said them sticks and stones may break my bones, but you bust the ops and never hurt me. I'm praising God, he gave me the courage to stand down from the street life. Ducking and diving 12, now that's a real deadly trife. For all you slow thinkers going that route, I hope you set up shop before the law bombers can carry you out. If you're a true hustler, you'll learn about communication. A devious skill like that will help you stay minutes over on the situation. I might be plotting too smooth or clever for you slow thinkers to comprehend, but if you set up shop like that, 9 times out of 10 you'll win. I don't care what I say or what I talk about. If you fools bring the funk, retaliation what I shout. I hunt you down and do you in. Just say that Banner Hunting Festo just got loose again. I get loose, bust loose, and ask God to forgive my soul. And if I need to hide something, I dig a 6 feet hole. I wish I didn't have to think like this, but the way this world is in rotation, I gotta be prepared like this. I'm always prepared, just call me for riding, man. No matter the situation, I'm 2 steps ahead of the next man. And I'm headed to the top, there ain't no looking back. It took faith, open dreams to get where I'm at. I said them sticks and stones may break my bones, but you bust the tricks and never hurt me. I said them sticks and stones may break my bones, but you bust the ops and never hurt me. I said them sticks and stones may break my bones, but you bust the tricks and never hurt me. I said them sticks and stones may break my bones, but you bust the ops and never hurt me.
All right, that was Sticks and Stones by Infester. Okay, let's get into these sync readiness tips. The first thing I noticed was that the song came in pretty fast. There was no like real intro to the song, which is fine sometimes in sync. You don't have to have a long intro. They want you to get straight to it. But the arrangements for songs for sync, usually when you're submitting them, you should start your song off with the hook, because that's the part. It's called a hook for a reason. You want to hook the person listening, and music supervisors get music submitted to them in bulk by a lot of different people. So they don't have a lot of time to really go through the whole song and pick it apart. So you want to hook them immediately. So when we create songs for sync, it was great to start off with the hook. I think your song starts off with a verse. So that is my first tip, to rearrange the way that the song is to make it more sync ready. Another thing for sync is that most songs are, they end with stings. So a sting ending, if you don't know what that is, you can look it up on YouTube, but I would suggest putting a sting ending on the record as well. As far as the instrumental, I think it could be a little more dynamic. It seems too repetitive, and that's not really giving the music supervisors enough to choose from. When it comes to sync, they want to have different sections of the song to choose from, but the beat is mostly repetitive. Like the kick pattern stays the same pretty much throughout, things like that. So if you wanted to go back and tweak some of those things, or even like if this song you want to keep it as it is, but just keep these things in mind for your next song if you plan to submit for sync. Lastly, I think the lyrics felt really personal. I felt what you were saying, but in sync, you want to be a little more general. So this song actually feels more just like an artist song, less of a sync song. But that doesn't mean that you can't make sync ready music, which is why I'm giving you these tips. So I appreciate you submitting the record. Overall, I think this song would be great for some sort of like TikTok challenge, actually more so than sync. So I'm not sure if you put this song out already on TikTok, but if so, maybe find somebody to do some sort of challenge with it, because this seemed like something that would actually blow up on TikTok. For those out there listening who enjoyed that record, make sure you follow Infester on Instagram at in.fes.tor. Again, that's at Infester on Instagram. You can check out more of his music there and support the artist. Thanks again for submitting, Infester. That's going to do it for our Hidden Highlights segment of today. If you would like your music review for sync readiness, you can submit it today at our website, www.londonelixir.com/show. Scroll down to the button that says Hidden Highlights and submit your track today. Okay, cousins, we're going to take another quick music break, and we'll be right back with the London Elixir Show. Welcome back to the London Elixir Show. I am your host, London Elixir. All right, cousins, it's time for Cousins Corner. This is where I dive into the topics you submitted, your questions, stories, ideas. We break it down, share some insight, and we keep it real. This is your space, so let's get into it. Okay, this submission came in from Darrell, aka Twin, in Ellenwood, Georgia. He says, London, how do you stay motivated in today's music industry with the use of AI? Darrell, well, I know you as Twin. Cousin, what a great question. I knew somebody was going to ask me about AI. AI is like a hot topic right now in the music industry. For those of you who don't know, there are a lot of like softwares and things coming out where you could basically like create a song without having to know how to play any instruments, without knowing how to produce, without knowing how to sing. Like, it'll actually create a song for you from start to finish if you just put in certain parameters of what you want the song to sound like. Now, obviously, this might seem like a cool tool to people who aren't music creators, but to the ones who are, there are a lot of questions and I mean, worries that are even stemming up within the music community, because it's like, you know, y'all are basing these algorithms off of real musicians, but are you paying them royalties for using, you know, their styles or, you know, the things that they came up with? And then there's always like the question of ownership. Like, so these AI programs that you're using to create the songs, like, who owns the song that's created then? And then, like, is it going to be used in sync licensing? And if so, how? And it's just a lot of questions. So this is a good one. How do you stay motivated in today's music industry with the use of AI coming into play? And my answer to this question really goes back to my faith, to be honest, y'all, because what God has for you is for you, and you have to be in alignment with his plan for your life. And sometimes he might have you shifting, sometimes he might have you going in a different direction. You have to really be in tune to see what he wants you to do in certain seasons. So when things like this happen, I think like my main thing is to just pray about it and, you know, ask for God's guidance and ask for him to order my steps. Like, is there something I should be doing differently? What should I be paying attention to? Things like that, because at the end of the day, my motivation stems not from what's going on in the music industry, but from the fact that I know that I'm living in the purpose that God has for my life. And then honestly, as an entrepreneur, you have to be ready to adjust and pivot and adapt your business anyway, because things that might be working in one season might not work in the next. So that's where staying close and connected to God and continuing to ask him to order your steps is really key. So I don't know if that's the answer you were looking for, but that's my answer, Darrell. Thank you so much for submitting to the Cousins Corner. This submission comes from Mrs. Otia Moore in Louisiana. And her topic is on faith. She says, I want you to talk about urging everyone that has breath in their lungs to have a relationship with God. Prayer is a dialogue, not a monologue. Talk to him. He wants to hear from you. Otia, cousin, first of all, shout out to you. Otia is one of my day ones from the TikTok community. I appreciate your continued support in everything that I do. Love you, girl. But yes, this topic is amazing. Urging everybody that has breath in their lungs. That means you, whoever's listening, to have a relationship with God. Y'all, I cannot stress this enough. Like, if it was not for God, I don't know where I would be, what I would be doing. Like, he has had his hand on my life literally since I was in my mom's stomach. Like, there's no way I could live this life without consulting, praying to, loving on, growing with, learning more about, you know, praising and worshiping my creator, the one who gave me life. So yes, I feel you, Otia. We got to urge everybody to have a relationship with God. And then your point about prayer is a dialogue, not a monologue. Ooh, girl. That's a mouthful. We actually talked about this in Bible study at the church that I go to. And we were talking about how, you know, we pray to God and we be like, Lord, we need you to do this. We talk about all these things that we want from God. And then we just get up and walk away. We don't sit and meditate and take the time to let God talk back to us. We don't listen for him to speak to us. We just talk. But how much do we actually allow him to speak back to us? And that might mean like going in your prayer closet. That might mean just reading, opening up your Bible. God speaks through his word. It is a living word. And there are words in there directly for you in your situation, but we don't take the time that we need to get into our Bibles to actually let God speak back to us. So yes, it's a dialogue, not a monologue. Talk to him. He wants to hear from you, and he also wants to speak to you. Whatever these things are that you're trying to figure out, those are not on your to-do list half the time. God already got it figured out, and all you got to do is ask him, and he'll let you know what you're supposed to do. So, yes, Otia, thank you so much for submitting to the Cousins Corner. I love that topic. Yeah, y'all. And if you haven't already, make sure you get your submission into the Cousins Corner, y'all. I love these. This is one of my favorite. I say this about every segment. This is one of my favorite segments. But for real, I love y'all. I love to hear from y'all. Thank you again, Otia, for submitting to the Cousins Corner. Okay, let's get into this next one. It's from Robert Taylor in Pennsylvania. He says, when it comes to sync companies that accept submissions, what companies are best to submit to when first starting out? Robert, cousin, that's a great question. Because there are a lot of different companies that you could submit to. If you want to go the library route when you're first starting out, I would focus mainly on non-exclusive opportunities, just so you could put your eggs in multiple baskets. I know some companies like songtrader.com, for example, that's songtradr.com. They're a company that you can submit music to that's non-exclusive, and I've had some success with them, like with them placing my music in retail stores and stuff, even out of the country. So I would suggest Songtrader. Another one you could try out is Midio, which is MDIIO. They're also non-exclusive. Another one is TuneEdge, which is TuneEdge.com. They have a lot of opportunities as well. So just research all three of those. And the cool thing about TuneEdge is that they actually list briefs. So you can see the briefs and submit music only if it fits. And the reason why I suggested these three to start off is because they're also free to submit to. So those are three companies you could try starting off. If you are interested in exclusive libraries, another one you could try is Quiet on the Set. They have a deal with Viacom where, they place music across a lot of their shows. So that's like BET, TLC, MTV. It's like a whole circuit. But exclusive means that your music will only be able to be in their library. You can't shop that music anywhere else. You can't put that song out in this case. That's why non-exclusive libraries, I suggest those when you're first starting out, so you don't tie your music up and you haven't even, figured out what you could do yet. So non-exclusive means that you could have the same song across multiple libraries, and you could also be pitching it to music supervisors on your own. So hope that answers your question. Oh, Crucial Music. How could I forget that one? Crucialmusic.com is also a great non-exclusive library that you can submit music to. The thing about Crucial is that they are extremely picky, and they also don't accept instrumentals. But once your music is in the library, the cool thing is that they show the pitch activity. So whenever they pitch your song for something, it'll show up in that tab. Like you can see when they're pitching your music and what they're pitching it for. And then, of course, whenever you land it, you get your cut. So make sure you're reading through all of the agreements on these websites to decide if it fits for you. But those are, I think I listed like 3 or 4, maybe 5 companies that you could start off with. So yeah, thanks Robert for submitting to the Cousins Corner. I hope that answers your question. Okay, let's get into another one. This one comes from Just out of Kentucky. It says, in light of the recent news surrounding Diddy and the music industry as a whole, have you ever had a situation where you were faced with a dilemma on taking an opportunity to further your career in exchange for giving up your morals or values? Or just a situation that made you question whether or not to accept an opportunity that would benefit you because the person associated was someone you didn't want to work with? How does your religious faith play a role in how you move within the industry? And do you think where you are success-wise dictates the decisions you make? As always, many blessings to you, and thanks for providing valuable information as well as amazing music along the way. Been bumping your and Taylor's song Bye today. It's fire. Just, wow, what great questions. First of all, what's up, cousin? What's up, Just? We love Just around here. Just is an amazing artist. So first of all, thank you for submitting. Whew, I should have known your question was going to be packed. Okay, let's break this thing down. So the first word that comes to my mind as I was reading your question is discernment, right? So I used my discernment often. Like I'm always praying about stuff, like trying to lean into, like what the Holy Spirit is nudging me to do. And I just really try to focus on that. So For example, somebody reached out to me on Instagram. They DM'd me recently, and they said they had found me DJing on TikTok. They were in one of my lives, and they were reaching out about doing some work together, like collaborating on some stuff. And I was like, okay, I went to their page, and I seen that they had a decent following, like a large amount of followers. So, of course, your first thought is, oh, maybe this would be a good collaboration just based off of that, right? And then I'm like scrolling through this person's page, and I like immediately felt the spirit like, no. Immediately, discernment was like, no. And I'm like, why? Like, I ain't even really like got to check out their music yet, and the spirit was just like, no. And to me, I left the page, and I that was it. That was all I needed, was like the spirit to tell me no. The spirit know more than I do. So if it's a no, it's a no. I ain't gonna go. It's that simple. And I feel like I've been through a lot of things in life to be able to trust that nudge and trust that discernment now. Like, I don't question it. It is what it is. I don't have to figure out why it's a no. I'm okay with it being a no. Like, I don't know what you protecting me from, God, but I received the protection, and I'm gonna be going about my business. And that's nothing against the person who reached out to me. Like, it could be a no just because we're not aligned. Like, we might not think the same. It might not work out, like, for like whatever reason. It might not even be like, that's a bad person, don't connect with them. It could just literally be like, y'all are on different paths. Like, y'all are not gonna align. Like, whatever the reason is, it's a no. Like, and that's no slight or no shade to the person. Now, as far as denying opportunities that seemed like they would be beneficial to me, because I didn't want to work with a person specifically, like I knew them and I was like, nah, that's not somebody I want to work with. Yes, I will do that 100% of the time. Because honestly, especially when it comes to creativity, like, the vibes are important. And if I've known you to do bad business, or if I've known you to not show integrity or not show professionalism, I will not work with you again. I'm not going to argue about it. I'm not going to, slander your name to people, but I will make a mental note. If their name is on it, mine won't be, because I don't want to be attaching my brand to somebody whose brand is being built off of bad business. So, absolutely have turned down opportunities just because of that. And honestly, it's easy to do that when you believe that what God has for you is for you, and you won't have to do anything ungodly to get it. One of the scriptures that I have written and like posted on my wall is Proverbs 13:11, and it says, dishonest money dwindles away, but whoever gathers money little by little makes it grow. So if missing out on this opportunity means that I'm gonna have to gather money little by little, that's fine. Like, I believe that God will make it grow because that's in the Bible. But what I do know is that dishonest money is gonna dwindle away eventually. And I'm trying to build my foundation on something, listen, that ain't gonna dwindle, you feel me? And then in regards to your question of, do you think that where you are success-wise dictates your decisions? I think that is a factor when it comes to how you consider decisions. And that's where your discernment and your morals really have to be strong, and your, mentality has to be solid. Because if you don't have a lot going on, and somebody comes along and says that they could do something for you, but you got this trade-off that's happening, like, but I need you to do X, Y, Z. The fact that you have nothing will make you more likely to consider it or even go and do it, because you feel like, oh, this is what I got to do to get what I need to get. And that is, it should not be a determining factor, but it is to a lot of people. I mean, just keeping it real, like, if you starving and somebody come and offer you a hamburger, but they say you got to do X, Y, Z to get it, you more likely to do it because you starving. Whereas if you just ate a full meal, you'll be like, man, what I look like doing X, Y, Z? Like, I'm not that hungry. So, I mean, that's the reality. But because that is the reality, you have to be strong mentally. You have to understand where your grounding is, where your foundation is, and where your help truly comes from. And then you have to have patience and be willing to work harder, maybe work longer, to make sure it's secured in the right way. Most people give up their morals to try to get ahead because they're too lazy or too impatient to do things the right way. And they'd rather give up their morals than give up more of their time, to give up more work, to do some research, and that's why people get over on them. And I'll just wrap up my answer with this. You had a long question, so I'm gonna have a long answer. I read this study a few years ago, maybe 2 years ago, I'm not sure. And it was talking about the people you spend the most time with, you know, as how that changes over the course of your life. So like when you're a kid, you spend the most time with your parents, your family. You get older, you start spending most time with people at school, you know, whatever. But they say as an adult, you spend the most time with people that you are at work with and with your spouse or significant other. That's like where you spend the most, those are the people you spend the most time with. And the cool thing about being an entrepreneur is you get to choose who you work with. You do not have to work with anybody you really don't want to. Like, that's one of the benefits of being an entrepreneur. So yes, use your morals, use your spiritual guidance, use your discernment, use your wisdom, use whatever it takes to make sure that you are only aligning yourself with people who fit on your path. There's another scripture that says, walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. And that is so true. Like, I'm not trying to be around a bunch of foolishness. Like, what do I look like? So y'all, use your discernment to make these decisions. Like, don't let the quote unquote opportunity outweigh what you know is right. Like, keep choosing the right way. It might take longer. It might be a little bit at a time, but the progress is going to be solid. The foundation is going to be real. Nobody's going to be able to pull the rug from up under you, and you're building a good name for yourself. And I'm only speaking from experience, y'all. Like, I've denied a lot of opportunities. I've left situations, left studios, left groups of people that I was working on building things with because the alignment no longer fit. And that's okay. You have to be able to make those decisions. And those, like, now, looking at where I'm at now, every situation I left, like, even back then, I thought maybe if I stay around, I'll be able to get some sync opportunities. And they never would have got anything for me. And I've done so much more for myself. Once I stopped putting energy into those things and started putting it back into myself, I've been able to get so many syncs. I've been able to land so many gigs. Like, I've done so much for myself. And it's like, yeah, it's harder. It's harder work. Yeah, it might take a little longer, but can't nobody take nothing away from me now. Everything I've built, shout out to God and his grace and his favor and his glory. Like, his hand has been on me. And God is the ultimate plug. Like, everything that I've built, I've gotten it because I decided to keep my morals and trust in God. So now if I need another opportunity, I'm not dependent on a person or having to give up my morals. I just go back to God. So thanks, Jess, for submitting that question to the Cousins Corner. Okay, that's going to do it for our Cousins Corner segment of today. Thank you so much, everybody, for sharing your thoughts and being a part of the conversation. If you submitted to the Cousins Corner and you did not hear your answer today, don't worry. We have more episodes coming every week, every Sunday at 5. And if you want to submit something for the Cousins Corner, make sure you visit our website at www.londonelixir.com/show. Scroll down to the button that says submit to Cousins Corner and put your topic or your question in there. All right, y'all, let's take a moment to vibe out with some music. We'll be right back with more on the London Elixir Show. Well, family, thank you so much for hanging out with me on the London Elixir Show. I appreciate you tuning in and being a part of this journey with me. If you enjoyed the show and want to see it continue to grow, you can help by becoming a sponsor or donating. Just head over to www.londonelixir.com/show to contribute and keep this show going strong. You can also submit music and questions or topics for the Cousins Corner on our website. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at London Elixir, the letter L, the letter X, for updates, or TikTok at London Elixir, that's ELIXIR. There you can find behind the scenes content and more ways to connect. Until next time, remember, faith works when you do. Keep the faith, keep creating, and keep believing. See you next week on the London Elixir Show.